Hello and thanks for tuning in. Here's a brief update. It's not brief at all. Hello and thanks for tuning in. I've got some Shadespire miniatures here. These are called the Sepulchral Guard, and they're in a set of models for the Shadespire game. I have noted on the Games Workshop website that they're also selling these in a kind of a champion set of models, so they can be used in Age of Sigmar, I believe, as well. So the nameplates that you can see on the front here are from Versatile Terrain in the UK, and they do a whole range of these for the different sizes of bases that you can get. I've standardised on this base because I'm a War Machine player and a Hordes player, and I've always liked the lipped style bases. I also did a lot of role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons type games where I need to drop on the odd miniature, and so I've standardised on this base size. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, Open Combat, Song of Blades and Heroes, and various other games where the base sizes are not as important. However, I like the look that you get from the large lip. And you can see that on these particular ones that I'm spinning around, that the bases from, well, the base nameplates from Versatile Terrain, some of them are a bit longer and cover almost the whole 50% of the base, as you can see there. Others are sort of smaller size, and the only reason I've got those smaller ones on there, like this nameplate here, is simply because there's a limit on the amount of characters, and I didn't want to limit myself to only have the sort of 11 character size plates when I had some longer names I wanted to put on there. Obviously these are kind of comedy driven names I've got on here for these skeletons, and I'll just whip up another couple of those. And you can see again, actually I went for a more serious fantasy name on this guy here, which I tend to do on some of them, but then on this guy I've gone for the name Grateful Dead, which is of course the name of a band, but since I'm using these to identify them in the game, I thought I'd have some fun. And of course Stiffy down there in the front, who's kind of clawing his way out of his grave. This guy's a kind of a necromancer character. For the life of me I can't remember the model, but it is another Games Workshop model from their sort of, well, I call it undead. I don't think they call anything by the, you know, an orc isn't an orc anymore, is it? It's something else, although I don't know exactly what it is. This guy's probably not undead, he's probably some other name. So I've taken about 2 weeks to paint these, 9 models in total, and I airbrushed them to start with. In fact, I left them on these lollipop style, enlarged lollipop style sticks with some blue tack, sort of white tack underneath each base to enable me to paint them on the stick. So I was actually painting 3 in a row like this, and I'm quite pleased with the results. I haven't painted for a good while, and what happened to me in the middle of this, actually, you may notice his eyes, I don't know if you can actually see them, but this guy's eyes, they're not brilliant, they're not that well painted, but halfway through this I noticed my glasses wouldn't allow me to focus in on details like eyes and faces very well, so I actually went for an eye test mid-paint job. So the first week I painted the sort of bolder areas, the second week I got myself a new pair of glasses because I needed it for the close work. So obviously I'm in my 40s, so my eyesight is deteriorating, so I can't see those small details, which is a bit frustrating as a miniature painter. But hopefully the eyesight's now stabilising a bit more. And this was another one. I thought, since I was making a kind of an undead warband, so to speak, that I would get this guy as well, because it's such a superb model. Again, I've put him on a different base, so it's now on a resin 30mm base, which has that sort of detailing. Although as models go, it came with this sort of stone and ironwork structure on the bottom, and even this kind of bit of a gravestone or something there was also on the model. So, I mean, fantastic what they can do with these plastics these days in terms of the level of detail on there. So give them the full spin on the wooden stump. So unfortunately you can't see the blade because I haven't done this very well in terms of the size here, but now you can sort of see that blade. I've done a kind of a rust effect on it. Interesting enough, on the other models, so these are more of the standard ones, you can see I went for that sort of bronze coppery style on most of their metal, and in fact I'm in half a mind now, because these have had a dull coat today, it has dulled down the metals quite a lot, so I was in half a mind to sort of go back over with a sort of shining gold type, very bright gold, and then just trim up around the edges of the blades and things, because the dull coat has dulled it right down. This one I'm particularly pleased with as a model, in that his entire sort of looking over the shoulder, the way the shield's up, it's very dynamic, and the low blade, great that they can do that in the plastics. So yeah, fantastic models, and I'm going to talk a bit more about these base. So these are 3D printed, the name tags. Like I was saying earlier, I've gone for kind of comedy ones on this. I think that guy, Fungus Head and Worm, what's that got on there? Worm Gut are those two. And as I say, I have gone for slightly more serious ones on some of the others. So this guy, Lord, who's that on there? Lord Scarnshall, just something I made up. I know this has a name in the Games Workshop rules, but again, I was just kind of making my own up for fun. And those base side pieces, side nameplates even, from Versatile Terrain, they come like this, so they're 3D printed. And they're designed to sort of stick on the lip. Now, larger ones, so I've got a kind of, I've got some that I'm using for sort of knights and Normans as well, and this is of the larger size, so you can see how that would cover the whole side of the 30mm base. And if I get the ruler on it, that's your 30mm base, so it's only going to be adding another, what's that, 4mm to the side. So if I make that 32, will I fit that over the edge there? Let's see. Yeah, so actually, size-wise, I can't see what that is. But if I look back, yeah, so it is. It's almost precisely 32mm. So when you see it on one of the models again, you can see how much of an extra additional lip it's adding just on the side there. So it's not making the bases really that much larger than they are, and you know, I'm comfortable with it. I like to play a game where I can see the nameplates on there for reference, especially when I'm either role playing or another sort of game which you need at a skirmish level some kind of identifier. So in addition to these ones, which are very much for the sort of 30mm bases, and I think those ones have up to 11 characters, and then you can go sort of 20 characters or 21 characters when you've got the whole half side of the base there. They do also do them for the traditional bases too. So these are the 20, oh, I mean everybody knows what a 25mm base is, but there's your 25mm base. And here are some of the nameplates I've got for there. So Lux Bod, I mean again I just made these up. And obviously taking these apart, it's very easy. I mean they're 3D printed material, but you could just use any clippers. And in fact the way that they've been built up on the sort of, what do you call it, stack framework, I don't know what you want to call it, you can actually just whip them off I'm doing this very basically because when I say basic, I mean I'm just doing it quickly. Right, so you can see the debris left behind. Actually, he's put the name on there on that base plate as well. So yeah, so there you go, that's it sort of trimmed. What I don't normally do is I'd go around with a scalpel and just scrape all the little extra bits off just to tidy it up before I put them on as well. So then there'd be a dab of super glue. I'd work out which way the person was looking, so this one, she's kind of looking in that direction. So nameplate would go maybe around that side. And there you go, you've got the sort of sci-fi nameplates done at the same time. So other examples I've got, I've just sort of been kind of a bit creative with the names, like Mofo Mike, just again for the sort of sci-fi skirmish style models. And I have a baggie here full, ready for various Necromunda type names, so everything from a Holly, just names like Rhino, I don't know why I've got that, but Alice D, play on words, Foxy, what else have we got in there? Cindy, spelled incorrectly by me, Nancy, Cinnabon. So yeah, just a whole load of little wacky names that I'll be able to put on there, and that makes it fun in the game really, to be able to reference the model and see as they play and gain experience. I have also got sort of orcish names, because I was planning on doing an orc kind of warband, so that you can see they have different font types as well that you can use. So Bok Magog, just using various different names that I can. And I do have somewhere over here, so you do also have for the larger sizes, you can see Tir Nog. I just thought it would be a fun name for a sort of large brute or an orc or something. And that is for the even larger base sizes, so 40 or 50 mil. I had a few done in that size for monster characters. So what I shall do now is just flip over. So I'll just flip over to the iPad. And starting out, you can see that Shadespire, Sepulchral Guard. That's a bit of a mouthful in terms of a name. And you can see here they've done them a lot brighter than mine. Mine tended to be quite brown looking. Oh no, they've got the 360 thing, which is probably doesn't work on here. Oh yes, it does. So there you go. Swipe to spin. And not bad really. What do you get? 6 models? 1, 2, 3, or 7? 7 easy to build bone coloured plastic scale. Now that's worth mentioning actually. They do come pre-bone coloured, so you know, you can pop them out and they are ready to play if you just wanted them basic without painting them. So it's not bad. Price. Obviously you get cards and things in there for the game Shadespire. I have played Shadespire, so I have experience of it. I didn't enjoy the sort of small scale on a board, limited on the hex board style of it, although you know, I think you could get into it as a quick sort of, you know, throw it down, play the game quickly. You don't need many models, so it could be quite good fun. But it didn't really grab me after one game. So what I shall do now is pop over to Versatile Terrain's website, so you can see the there we go, right away, 3D printer. as well as some very stylish posters around the workstation. And if I go into the shop, you can see generally the way that you build up your names is to simply choose a size and plate design, choose your font and quantity, and then you add to cart. So essentially, as I swing down here, you can see straight away, I'll zoom in on that one. There's your most basic, up to 10 characters, and the nameplate doesn't have that sort of lip around the edge of it. And then straight on to the sort of 11 characters you get with the little extra lip on there. The ones I was using for my 30mm bases are down, down, down. As you can see, caters for almost every size and type of base. So there's my 30mm. That's the 30mm with up to 21 characters. So that's the one that takes the whole half of the base, but you can put a long name in there. And then there's the 10 character one. So you can see price wise you're looking about £2.50 a model for that larger one. Back in the, if I zoom back up to the single small bases, you can see £2 or £1.50 for the one with the more detail on it. So if you use the 180 degree size, when you add it, you select a font, add to cart. It does ask you whether you want this 90 degree firing arc on it. So sorry it's a bit small on the screen there, but I can show you that firing arc, which I've got them on here. So if I move the guy into focus, you can see here's the 90 degree firing arc. So it's a little cut out of the base. So the interesting thing is, of course, you could paint that a little if you were playing a game that you needed to know the 90 degree from the front. It's a handy reference to be able to sort of paint around that. So yeah, I really do like these nameplates. It's the latest revelation for me. I'm going to be obviously trying to use these through various different games I've got, and even going back to some of these sort of retro Necromunda models I've got here, to reuse those and add nameplates to them as well for the game. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting those into a game. So thanks a lot for listening in and checking out some of these models on the stump. This is the first time I've used this camera focused in like this from the front, so I'm actually standing behind the models for a change instead of over my shoulder, and hopefully that's worked out okay for volumes, focus, etc. So have a good week. Goodbye.